Good morning, students. In this video, we are going to discuss about fraud. First, we will see the meaning and definition. The meaning is, if any one person doing the cheating over the other person with intention, then it is called as fraud. In this definition, under section 17, if any person doing the connivance means if we affected any one of the parties, it affects the other person, it is called as fraud. There is a deceive. Deceive means is mean by cheating. If you are cheating any one person and then that intention it induce the other party to enter into the other contract, then it is called as a fraud. First we will see about the essentials of fraud. There must be a false representation or assertion. If a person doing a fraud, there is a false information, that information which is accepted by the other person and then he is entered into the contract, then it is called as a fraud. Next one is representation may be a fact. So if you want to convey one information to the other person, that information you treated as a fact, then only the other person believes that that information is a true information. Then only the other person can enter into the contract. That representation must be a fact, then only it is called as a fraud. They have one case law. Bissett Wilkinson, is a vendor of a piece of land, told that that land would carry 2000 sheep, but in fact the land only carry the less number of 2000. So there was no misrepresentation because the statement was one of the opinion, but there is no intention. The next one is the representation must have been before the conclusion of contract with the intention of inducing the other party act upon it. So if you want to commit any fraud, that fraud should be made before conclusion of the contract. Once the contract gets closed, then we can't do any deceive or cheat the other party. Next one is the other party must have been induced to act upon the representation or assertion. So one person is not enough to induce the other party, that the other party, the opposite party cannot close your eyes, because if there is a defect or any fault in front of your eyes, then you have to find out what are the flaws in the contract. If you can identify, you can't close your eyes blankly. So you have to open your eyes widely and see what are the faults, what are the defects, what are the cheatings are over there. So you have to avoid all the cheating activities. The next one is the other party must have relied upon the misrepresentation and must have been deceived. So once if you want to commit any fraud, but the opposite party, they are not cheated, they not get deceived, then it is not called as a fraud. If you want to commit a fraud, that party will affected, then only it is called as a fraud. Next one is the other party acting on the representation or assertion must have subsequently suffered some loss. So in this contract, you committed a fraud, that fraud not levy any damages or loss, then it is not called as a fraud. If you commit a fraud, if the person get any damage or get any loss, then it is called as a fraud. Next one is knowledge of falsity. It means the person who have the belief in the truth and then they are not caring about the true information, then that but in reality the information is created in false information. That false information is communicated to the other person that this information is a good information. Then only the other person get cheated and they are induced to enter into the contract. Next one is consequences of fraud. in this consequences of fraud, once the contract is affected with fraud, then your contract becomes voidable contract. So what are the remedies is available that the person can avoid the performance of contract, and the next one is you can make that representation it's true, then you can't make a contract as voidable, and the last option is you can sue for damages. The next topic is fraud does not always make the contract voidable exemptions. So once if there is a fraud, then your contract becomes voidable, but due to some following cases, the contract is not voidable. So what are the cases is not voidable? We will see. The first one is once the person discover the truth with the diligence, then we can accept that circumstance and we cannot make the contract as voidable. And the second one is if the party is ignorance your mistake or ignorance of your fraud, then the contract not becomes voidable. And the third situation also is the same situation of contract of ignorance, but if you take any benefits, then you can't cancel the contract. And the last one is in case the benefits arrive due to that contract it's legal and for the valuable consideration, then your contract not becomes voidable. The next one is silence as to facts. So your in contract, if you keep silent is not called as a fraud, but due to some situation, certain exceptions, silence is also called as fraud. The first point is duty to speak. Silent amount to fraud when the person keeping silence is under a party to speak. The duty to speak arises when one party reposes on confidence in the other. And the next one is where silence is equivalent to speech. In some situation in the contract they mention that if we are keep silent, then I will take it as acceptance. Then you are in the position to speak. If you are keep silent in that particular situation, then it is equal to speech. Then it is called as a fraud. So I will tell you one example for silence is equivalent to speech. A is a buyer, saw a horse of a seller B. So A is a buyer, B is a seller. A's impression that the horse was sound, but he has to confirm the soundness of the R. But B kept silent. So the seller is kept silent. So this is called as fraud. The seller must speak about the soundness of the horse because he is a seller, but he is kept silent. So it is called as a fraud. The next one is half truth. Half truth means one person convey the information, but he not convey the full information. He convey only the part of the information. Then the other opposite party cannot understand what is the full information. That is also it's called as a fraud. And the next one is change of circumstances. Sometimes a statement is true when made, but false due to change of circumstances. In such cases, the person who made the statement should communicate the change of circumstance. If they are not communicated, then it is called as a fraud. Next one is latent defect. When a seller fails to inform the buyer as a latent defect, that is defects knows to the seller, but he is not conveyed to the buyer, then it is called as a fraud. If the seller knows about any defects or any fault over the product, then he must explain to the buyer that these are the defects in the product. The next one is difference between fraud and misrepresentation. The first one is intention. In this intention, in misrepresentation, there is no intention to cheat the other party. But in fraud, there is an intention to cheat the other party. And then in misrepresentation is innocent and the fraud is willful. And the next one is belief. In belief, in misrepresentation, there is a belief to be true. But in fraud, there is no belief it to be true. And the third one is accession and damages. Misrepresentation, you can cancel the contract, but there is no liable for, there is no suit you can file for damages. But in fraud, you can cancel the contract and you can sue for damages. And the last one is discovery of truth. Once in misrepresentation, once a person is discovered the truth, then you can't avoid the contract. You can continue the contract. But in fraud, if you are accept that you are, otherwise you are discover the truth also. You can't continue the contract. Once if in fraud, you have to cancel the contract. Thank you so much students for watching this video.